All right, so welcome everyone. It's your girl Carlisa Katrina Basnight-Menendez, yes, all of that. And I am super excited. We have Miss Jeanne Chung in the building with us. And you all, we're talking about menopause March Madness. And no, we're not just talking about the symptoms. You all can, those symptoms, right? You may have them, you may not. You may not even be in menopause right now. But one thing for sure, I can't guarantee a whole lot of things, but one thing I can guarantee is that you're going to transition into menopause one day. And you may be there sooner than you think, like I was through surgery. I had a full hysterectomy at the age of 30 years old, and it threw me right into menopause. And so we never know what that may look like in our life, but our goal is to give you tips, tools, techniques, and resources so that even if you're not in menopause, when you get there, you'll be like, you know what? I heard this. Wait, it's a video on YouTube. I heard this conversation before. I heard something. So you can be prepared, right? You were prepared for the first period, most of us. And unfortunately, most of us are not prepared for the last period. And that's whether you have it surgically, medically, or if you get there naturally. The thing is, this is a guarantee. You can go ahead and put this in the bank. It is stamped and approved. You will go through menopause. Now, what yours may look like, whatever your menopause journey may be, it's going to vary from woman to woman. Because let me tell you all, menopause is not a one size fits all at all. Some women are like, I don't have any hot flashes. And I'm like, hallelujah. Other women are like, you know what? My hair is thinning. I'm like, that's not me. Hallelujah. Right? So many other things, joint pain and all of these things. But menopause is more than that. It's not a disease, but it is a transition that can lead to other things. And so we want to be sure that we're covering all the bases, talking about mentally, emotionally, financially, right? You all, because a lot of this stuff is not even covered by your insurance. So it can be very pricey, or if you're trying in products through trial and error and all of these different things. But we're here to discuss all the aspects of menopause and women's wellness. And so let me just get one announcement out the way. MenoCon, right? I hope you all heard me loud and clear. MenoCon 2022. And you're probably like, Meno, what? What? Huh? Well, let me just tell you, it is the ultimate, let me get it straight. It's the ultimate menopause and women's wellness conference happening right here in St. Mary's, Georgia, September 16th through the 17th. Yes, it's a 2-day conference. Go ahead. If you got to put your time in, all of those things, go ahead. You want to be in the building, and I want to see you, right? I want to be able to fist pump you, hug you, whatever you're comfortable with at this time. You all know what everything is going on, but MenoCon 2022. And this is for the everyday woman, right? There are conferences out there for the scientists and the clinicians and, the researchers. But what about us? What about the everyday women that may not have the resources right at hand, who we're not going to attend those conferences so we can be looking like, what are you guys talking about again? Right? And so we're having the conversation we're going to have a panel of entrepreneurs, right? Because a lot of women are leaving their jobs. They're leaving corporate and they're like, I'm going to do my own thing. And so from entrepreneurs networking, you want to be there. So this is your invitation. If you need another invitation, head over to my YouTube channel and there's a video just for you. You can see down below MenoCon, www.menocon.com. Go ahead and get your tickets. They are up there. And you all, a 2-day conference, these tickets are reasonably priced. I even told they were too low for 2 days. However, this is what it is, and you want to grab your ticket. You may say, Carly, I can't make it. That's okay. Get a ticket for someone else. Gift it to another woman so she can be prepared or she can find her tribe in her community. And so, Jeanne, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Really excited to be here. I agree firmly that it's about conversations with women, sharing experiences, sharing information. I've always looked at myself kind of like some of the recent work that I've done as I'm like the girlfriend that's like 5 steps ahead. And my job is to turn back and tell you like where to turn, what not to turn, like how to do the things. Because every time like I'm learning new stuff all the time. And it helps me, some doesn't, but I feel like it's like my responsibility, right, to share it with other women. Because as you know, we all suffer so much because the medical the medical establishment dismisses us. It's all in your head. They don't want to believe us. And even when we're showing like pain and telling them our symptoms, we get kind of just crappy service, if you will. And so what we can share with each other is instrumental. In fact, it's like essential, right, for us to understand how we can care for ourselves.
I love that. And I love the word, like you said, instrumental, you all. Meaning, and I look at that word and I'm like, she's so right. You play a part. I play a part. We play a part in our own health and wellness, along with the medical providers and team members that we may have, whether that's your therapist, whether that's your general practitioner, whoever that entails, a spiritual advisor, a mentor, all of these people for our entire well-being. And when we all play together, right, then we can come up together, not excluding ourselves either, with a proper treatment plan that's going to be suitable and what's best for us. Because you're right, Jeanne, a lot of times doctors are not listening. Mm-hmm. And then we're not listening, and we're not even going to put all the responsibility on them. Sometimes we're not listening to our own bodies, right? Mm-hmm. Our body is saying, take a nap. Our body is saying, slow down. Our body is saying, hey, you're doing too much. Your body is saying, hey, you also just saw Jeanne drink some water. You need to get hydrated, right? And so all of these things that sometimes as women, with our careers and family and pets and all of these different things, right, taking and pulling us in so many different directions that sometimes we forget about our entire well-being until we're so exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That we can't even serve ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yep. Jeanne, before we go further, just introduce yourself, let everyone know a little bit about you and the work that you do in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Jeanne Chung, and I'm here because I'm the founder and CEO of MIGHTY Menopause. It is a company specifically started around helping women through menopause. I started it because my own personal experience with perimenopause symptoms and trying to find a gynecologist and trying to find a relief was so frustrating. Mm-hmm. I went to a gynecologist, they didn't give me any answers. And I really did what most women do these days, is take matters in my own hands. Like, let me figure this out. I'm going to do some research. I've got to figure out what's going on, because the gynae had nothing for me. So I was just going to do this on my own. And what I discovered was, I discovered an herb, this plant called chaseberry. I started taking it. It resolved my symptoms within 2 weeks. I felt so much better. It was remarkable. And then I realized, looking at forums and chat rooms and all these things, that women are really we're almost desperate for information. The information is so spread out. You don't know who to rely on. This person, they've got a fake, user ID. It's not even their real name. Should I trust them? I'm not sure, but they seem reasonable. And so we're in this situation. We have to pull so much information together and use our own intellect to say, okay, this is reasonable, this is trustworthy, I'm going to make a choice for myself and do a thing. And it takes courage and it takes time and money. And then okay, so I did that, and it hit me that I have to share this with women. Like you said, all women are going to go through this. And if you are lucky enough to have mild symptoms, great. Most women will have pretty disruptive symptoms. And what can I do to help women understand them, help women understand what they can do for certain symptoms?
Right.
And then, that's the real reason. The fundamental reason is that I want to help other women.
I love that. And there's so many, we're seeing this, I don't want to call it a trend, but we're seeing more people come out and start talking about menopause, because it has been one of those topics, and still is, that's so taboo, or a topic that a lot of people are just afraid to even be correlated with, right? Mm-hmm. I've met women, they're like, do not mention my name in the same sentence with menopause.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. Okay. I've had someone even ask me, why are you smiling on some of your pictures with my menopause rebranded shirt? I said, well, what should I look like?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I don't want to look like the women that's already on Google, right?
Right. Yeah, totally. And I think your job and my job, I look at this also as part of the role, is that we have to change the face of menopause. Yeah. So when people think I'm turning 54 tomorrow, and, it's okay, people don't think, if you Google 50-year-old woman, you know what they give you? They give you a picture of a white-haired, grandmother, an octogenarian, hobbling down the street. And I'm thinking like, let me just set something straight. Like, this is 50. Like, this
This is what it is.
50, right? Like, we're here now. And so I think, yeah, like one of my secondary goals with Mighty Menopause is to build a world full of badass elder women. Right. And because I want to be badass at 80, I need a bunch of friends around me. Right. And I really believe that getting women through menopause to make sure that we're vital and radiant and strong and flexible and, like, we're still alert and involved, like all these things are available to us.
They are.
Right. We have to actively pursue them for so many reasons. But I want Mighty Menopause to be about menopause, helping women understand themselves, understand their symptoms, and get relief so that when they're through menopause, right, they can be badass and badass at 80.
And I agree, because it's not impossible, right? It's literally, if you see yourself as old, and I know society puts all these stipulations what old is, and I'm just like, who gets to define old? I feel like the same way you can define your sexy, you can define your old. I believe that as long as I'm here and I'm breathing, I got something to do. I have something to do. I have something to say. Like, why not? Right? And so it's kind of like with fashion and different things. They say when you get at a certain age, you shouldn't wear these things and you shouldn't wear that. You can't tell me what to wear. Now, I do get a lot when I'm like, I'm a menopausal woman. And they're like, oh, you look too young to be menopausal. Well, I've met women younger than me who've had a full hysterectomy and different things as well. We can't judge that. So I love what you said. We have to change the perspective. We have to change the face of menopause. And we're not negating that some women do deal with depression.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, one of my recent symptoms was being really, really depressed.
Wow.
And and it was an observation that I needed to make and like own it for myself.
Right.
I can only blame COVID for so much. Right. So I was like, okay, so there's something else going on here. And it was a real kind of fork in the road for me, because I decided to use hormone replacement therapy. Because I understood for me and my body that my depressive state, was clear to me that estrogen started to really go away.
Right.
And so I'm starting to use a little bit of estrogen and it's lifting my mood, and I'm not manic or anything, but I was like, okay, there's use for this and it's helped me a lot. But I would say, like, I don't recommend it for everyone. It's a lot of self-knowledge. It's a lot of research to understand like what to do. And this like kind of leads me, if I could talk a little bit about perimenopause.
Yeah.
So I still have periods, but they're getting further apart. But when I started my symptoms, I was surprised to be in perimenopause. Like most women are like, what is actually happening? And then, what do you mean perimenopause? I've never even heard of the word. And that was such an eye-opener, right? Again, uneducated, we're underinformed, we're going through a lot of suffering, and we don't know what to do about it. And I look at perimenopause kind of in two phases. So the first phase is when perimenopause, one of the most common symptoms is heavy bleeding. So you get crazy ass periods, like 3 weeks of bleeding straight, 5 days off, and then it'll start again. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And so you carry, like, I would wear a period underwear plus a pad plus a tampon, and then have a menstrual cup in my bag with another underwear, like, crazy bad. And then high anxiety. And so in the beginning of perimenopause, what actually happens is your estrogen goes crazy. It gets really high, but then drops really low. And the anecdote I like to share is like, your body's like, okay, girlfriend, this is our last hurrah. Like, I'm going to chucking it all in, like, get to work. Right. And so it's just the estrogen goes up and down really crazy, which causes very heavy periods, which causes anxiety. So what happens with anxiety, I also like to share this, is we have anxiety, like your boss says, hey, right, you got to go make a presentation. And you're like, oh my God, I can't. Like, you start feeling anxious. So that's like an external response. And your body also, for women in particular, have an internal trigger.
Yeah.
So when your estrogen drops, you feel anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So after you ovulate, right, your estrogen drops. You know how like you feel like as PMS starts, like that feeling associated with the drops in estrogen. So in perimenopause kicks off, women have heavy periods. They're feeling a lot of anxiety. Like women have told me, like, I've never had anxiety ever. And then I have like raging anxiety where I cannot actually function because estrogen's going haywire.
Yeah.
And so that's like the beginning. And then later in perimenopause, before like your last menstrual period, which you're talking about, is, you know, like the periods separate, you don't get them very much. And then you can start getting depressed, because depression, another thing that happens is when estrogen is low,
right,
it's gotten to a lower position, is then when women feel depressed. And so I recognize, like, oh God, my estrogen's dropping. I'm feeling depressed. I got to do something about it.
wow.
And it really takes like so much commitment to observe how we're feeling.
And I love that, because a lot of times I think more people are starting to talk about the anxiety more, the depression more, and different things. Like I said, I saw an article where a man's wife committed suicide. And he said he wished he would have known more about menopause. Right. And a lot of times, sometimes I don't think people make that correlation, that menopause is mental well-being as well as you're transitioning. All of these things are happening, that it's a normal process of life, but it hits people differently. It's almost like pregnancy, postpartum depression, right? Everyone may not experience, and then when some women do, their level or their degree of how depressed they are, it just varies. And so I'm glad that you even recognized it, because sometimes people don't even recognize it. Or if they recognize it, they ignore it, just thinking, oh, I'm just not having a good day today or something. Or they really don't pinpoint to say, okay, no, let me get some help. Let me seek some help. So that I can help myself to see, okay, what is really going on. And then find in communities that people that you can actually talk to say, hey, you're not alone.
Right. The you're not alone thing is really important, because I think women, you know, we're really easy to just like, that's not a big deal. It's fine. It's just a day or another day. Like I've got so much to do. Like you're saying at the beginning, like we need to take care of ourselves. Like we're like always like the last ones, right? Everyone comes first when we take care of ourselves. And when it comes to mental health, like it's even harder, because we don't want to admit to like these difficult times. And knowing that you're not alone is valuable. Knowing that you can find a trusted space where you can talk about stuff and women just like are open to it, I think is really valuable.
It is. That support, that finding people that you can, that we may not all have the same symptoms. We may not all go through at the same time, and it may be a little harder for some, and it may be a breeze, you know, a walk in the park for someone else. But just knowing that I have someone I can talk to that's willing to listen to me, and don't think I'm trying to make excuses or like you said, how much can you really blame on COVID, right? I've heard people say, oh, women take menopause and they just use it as a crutch, or different things like that. God. And I'm just like, well, how dare you, right?
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
How dare you tell someone, oh, you, every time something come up, you use menopause as a crutch, or this, that, and the third, as if this is something that a woman can say, hey, I'm going to drop you off today and I'll pick you up, you know, in 24 hours.
Doesn't work like that. Yeah. I mean, it is a legitimate experience. Like this shit is real, if I may swear. And it's complicated because you don't know what's going to happen to you specifically. So again, going back to the education piece, like understanding what could potentially happen, talking to women that had different experiences, just to know like the reality of it. You know, the one thing I don't like are lists like, here are the 43 symptoms of menopause. Like, I'm not sure that that's very helpful because it's mostly like a little bit fearful. But if women can look at it and say, like, okay, like I can use the information to be prepared and not be scared, then I think it's used. Then
And
it
I
can
love
be
that. A listing just to say, it's like when you get a medication, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the things that could happen. It still doesn't negate people from taking their medication most times. They still take it, but now you know what I can look out for, that if I should have dizziness, or if I should have some discoloration, or whatever that may be, or if I should have some pain, chest pain or something, go to the nearest emergency room, right? So you have a heads up. And that's how I think, even with menopause, can't we just have a heads up of, right, even for the woman out there who's never been pregnant, they still have a heads up, whether they desire to have children or not. They still have a heads up of how to make a baby. Okay, let's just start there.
And not to make a baby.
Right. They know how to create. And then they know, okay, when I go into labor, once I go home, right, they're not just learning how to feed the baby then. They have a heads up on some things, now how the baby may sleep and all of these different things. They have to adjust to that. So for me, why can't we have a heads up for menopause that say, hey, even though you see these symptoms, these are just possibilities.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think that one of the things I push on a lot is, so there's all these symptoms that could happen, like dry tongue. Like, okay, great. Like, you're like, how does that help me? It doesn't actually help me. But if you understood not only the symptom, but a little bit more specifics around why of the symptom, right? That's one. The other part is symptoms generally don't come alone. Right? Like, you don't have just like one symptom, usually like a little bit anxious. And so for me, it's like, when you look at the set of symptoms, what can that tell you? And then that from some of the basic hormones, you're like, okay, like I get it.
Right.
I think one of the biggest challenges for women in general, and especially at menopause, is that, we hear this line a lot, all women are different.
Yeah.
And your hormones are changing. And my response to that is, yes and yes, but what else? What else can you tell me? Like, of course we're all different. Like, we're all different. Like, that's nothing new. But I'm suffering. Like, what can you do for me? And it's kind of like a cop-out.
Yeah.
So I try to talk about really specifically, like, what's happening, what can you know underneath about the hormones, and then what you can do about it. Like, let's get a little bit more sophisticated about what we talk about, so that women then are able to make a choice. If I tell you, Carly, you know what? All women are different. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point? But if I tell you,
and it even goes down from the specifics of your ethnicity and everything, because due to research and different things, and me even being a woman of color myself, the research says and shows that women of color tend to start earlier. The hot flashes and different things tend to be longer and a little more harsher per se. So even it's almost like knowing certain foods to eat for your particular blood type, right? Like, that's very specific.
Yeah.
However, most times on most occasions, we weren't taught that.
Right.
We wasn't taught that certain foods, just because we're all humans, right?
Right.
All of us can't eat all of the same thing, right? Some people can't do dairy, some people can't do, and then finding foods that are very specific for your particular blood type. A lot of times we weren't taught those things. So once again, it goes back to that educational piece. But I love what you said of being more specific, and then more specific for yourself.
Right.
So that we can make a sound decision
Yep.
for your health and come up with the best and proper support for you as an individual, right? Menopause may be general. It's a general word. All women would get menopause, but how you dealt with it, right? I didn't go through perimenopause.
Right.
So I don't know that journey of perimenopause besides what's in text, right?
Yep.
That's not my experience. So I can tell a woman there is definitely life after a hysterectomy, right? But I can't tell them, they like, oh, nope, I didn't go through perimenopause. I had a surgery and I was there, and then boom, that was it.
Yeah. And like building on your own experience. And I think just to add a little bit more to the like educate and like, do I know myself? What's going on? There's also a space like to share information that you kind of pull from different places and pull together. And then you get like a tighter story. So for example, I was saying before, like, we often hear like, well, you know, menopause means no estrogen, so you need to eat soy, right? Like, because soy is a like a plant-based estrogen, and that's what you need to do. And yeah, I guess, but it's really like for post-menopause, like once your body is not producing these regular levels of estrogen, then you need estrogen. But in early perimenopause, as I mentioned, like estrogen, too much estrogen, and you don't need to take estrogen, and you don't need to eat soy. But the common, like the prevailing messaging and contents and blogs and stuff is that menopause equals lack of estrogen. Perimenopause is where the estrogen starts to go away, so you should have estrogen. But like one of the things I always want to tell women is like, in perimenopause, you have excess estrogen. If you're bleeding a lot, if you have high anxiety, like you have too much estrogen. So instead of adding more estrogen, you have to get rid of estrogen, and it'll help the symptoms. And that's something that the medical establishment doesn't talk about, that is hard to find in blogs. And I always, like when I'm in events like this, I always want to share that's a really important thing to watch.
It is very important to understand the stages. And I think if we understand the transitional phases of menopause, and now you can almost like a tailored fit dress, right? Now we can tailor fit that dress for what's going on with you as an individual, rather than grouping all of us in one big bunch. But if we break it down and say, no, Carlika, you didn't go through perimenopause, so that whole transition that could last a decade and all of these things, I didn't experience that. But to the woman who's getting ready to have a hysterectomy, I can definitely wholeheartedly relate to her. And even though her experience or journey may not be exactly the same, and I'm talking about from the mental, from the healing, from all of those things, I can still encourage her and educate her that, look, once you have that first consultation, here's some things mentally that may start going through your mind. Am I going to be less of a woman? Is sex going to feel the same? All of these different questions that sometimes people are like, I'm not going to ask the doctor. I don't want to say too much, because you're going to leave with a lot of pamphlets. I'm just saying, you're going to leave with pamphlets. And yeah, you're going to just leave with, I left with a lot of pamphlets. And when the symptoms started happening, I was still lost. I felt alone. I felt lost. And I did feel that I wasn't given an opportunity to make a sound decision for a treatment plan, because the only thing that was presented to me was HRT at that time. But then I was still overcoming being anorexic. So the only thing I heard in the office, and it just felt like a sounding alarm that the doctor just kept saying, weight gain, weight gain, weight gain, walk, 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 walk. Like, that's literally all I heard, Jeanne, was weight gain. And you're talking to someone who was still in that phase of overcoming the eating disorder, but not willing to revert all the way back to those habits of the eating disorder. So once I heard the word weight gain, dismiss.
Dismiss. Game over.
I don't want to. You have a great day. I'll figure this out as things start to happen, right? And so I felt that I wasn't able to make a sound decision for myself, because if your doctor or whoever, if they're paying attention, not just to the words coming out of your mouth, but to your body language, your expressions and everything, the next thing, once she probably saw I shut down, should have been a step further. Hey, do you understand? Is there something that will make you not want to do A, B, and C?
Like, what are your concerns? Or yeah.
No questions like that. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, this is how much it costs, and you'll experience some weight gain, and and here goes some pamphlets. Okay.
Oh, oh my God.
And I never
Yeah.
saw her again. That was it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, so disappointing.
yeah, that was literally it. As I sit here, I'm like, right, I never talked to her again. That was the end of, I guess, that part. And all right, so long, figure out your new
We'll
life.
figure it out. Yeah. And, and it's unfortunate because having a hysterectomy it's a very massive, major surgery and life change. And it has so much impact. And for your experience in a consultation to leave you, like you were like, okay, like leave you basically alone, like literally alone with some pamphlets is disgraceful.
It
Like, you got to
was.
do better than that. I mean, come on.
I was just like, so this is the end of the road. Like there were, and I'm like, there need to be some other, I feel there should be some other consultations to check on people mentally. I feel there should be some other, or at least some community, some support group after
Right.
you went through this, and different things. But for me, there was just nothing. So I'm like, the women out there who have maybe a hysterectomy is their next option, right? And I wasn't presented with any other options, really. It was, you can either keep being in pain or you can have a hysterectomy. Okay, well, I already had been in pain for some years and kept going back and forth to the doctors, running tests, all of these different things, getting no solutions. So, of course, I don't want to keep being in pain. Okay, let me have the hysterectomy. Not them telling you that mentally, I was just like, oh my God, like, am I less than a woman? Like, I know I'm still a woman, but I felt less of a woman. And then when certain things would happen, I'm like, okay, do I need to go pull out my science books? Like, what do I need to do?
Yeah, right. And that's us, again, taking matters into our own hands because we're not getting the support or the information we want from the medical establishment, right? And that proves like how we're scrappy, right? We are, when we need to be, we will get it done. But I mean, again, come on, like we need support, we need education, we need a multi-dimensional experience when we go to the doctors, and it's time. Like we need to figure that out.
And I love that. And you also, Mighty Menopause, right? I love the name of that and everything because it's so, for me, the name is very empowering that even through the transitions, whatever that may look like for an individual, there are resources. There are treatment plans that can work best for you. Like you said earlier, Jeanne, it's not that you were recommending HRT for someone. Do that research, have those conversations to see if that's going to be best fitted for you, right? And so Mighty Menopause, Jeanne, do you have what's your programs or anything? Let people know how they can connect with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's mighty-menopause.com, just conventional spelling, nothing too funky. So you can find the website there. Right now we have a natural supplement, 100% plant-based, designed specifically for early perimenopause. So the symptoms we talked about, like heavy bleeding, anxiety, starting to have hot flashes, sleeplessness, like that's designed for that part of perimenopause. You can buy it online. We've just launched this new thing. It's called the Mighty Plan and the Mighty Report. So the Mighty Plan is a 6-month subscription so that you can get it every month for 6 months. It only costs, you get the 6 months for free. So you pay just for 5. So you have ease of mind. It just keeps coming. I have women who've been using it for a year. We've used for many months. I think the woman's use it the most is like 14 months that she's taken it. And it's been really helpful for her. Like you said, perimenopause could last for like 10 years. And we also have the service that's called the Mighty Report. And when you take the supplement, you take it for a month, every jar is 1 month, you get a report at the end of your symptoms. And the way we show your symptoms is we have an automated text message. Every day you get a reminder to take your supplement. Wow. Every week we check in with you and we say, hey, Carlika, how are you feeling on your number one symptom? And you give us a number. And then after the month, we put all the numbers into a chart and it gets sent to you. So you can see, like, sometimes you finish your supplement, you're like, how the hell did I feel 4 weeks
Right,
ago?
you're
I
like,
don't
did
know.
it work?
Work? Yeah. And so we do it really easy by a text message. You get a text message that says, hey, Carlika, last week you felt like a 6 out of 10. How do you feel this week? And you just take a moment, reflect on yourself, give us your number. We track it, we keep it, and we give you a chart at the end of the month. So that's available for anyone who's on the Mighty plan, and they can get it for free. And then it helps you make the decisions, right? Like even just know yourself better. And so we designed both of those to go together.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, you all, what prescription or what supplement or anything have you ever heard of that they're like, we're going to help you track and trend, right? We're going to help you realize that if you're taking it like you're supposed to take it, because we all have to do our part to track to see your progress or if you need to make some adjustments and different things. So
Yeah.
I look, I'm not going to say I wish I was a perimenopausal woman. However, Jeanne, that is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And women find it so helpful. One of the things that I love about it is the woman said, I'm raising kids, I'm going through perimenopause. And when I get a message every day from Mighty that says, hey, Jen, don't forget to take your supplement, I feel like someone's taking care of me.
I was getting ready to say that. I was just like, wow, that just feels so connected that I don't have to even set my own alarm to say, remember, take this. I get a personalized message just for me from from Mighty Menopause, like, hey, how are you doing today? Don't forget to take this and let us know how you're doing. And that personable feel right there, that's heartfelt.
Right. You really feel it. And I was so pleased to hear that response. Yeah.
That is very heartfelt. And that's what a lot of women are looking for. Yeah. Someone who they may never meet you, right?
Right.
They never physically get to meet you or, your team or someone from your company, but they're going to be like, Mighty Menopause. Let me tell you all about it. Mighty Menopause. They send me a personalized message and a reminder. Like, I feel like I have my own personal,
like
my own personal
cheerleader in the quarter. Yeah.
That is amazing. So you all make sure you all connect with Jeanne. She gave you the website and different things, but check Mighty Menopause out and make sure you're just connected. And if you are a perimenopausal woman, look, she has the answer. You heard her on today, and then she has resources. And that's why we're doing this, because so many women feel that, hey, where do I need to turn? And we're trying to make it easier for you to say, you don't have to do all of the research by yourself, because there's some women out here who've done some research, who are reliable. Because I can tell you one thing, I didn't have anyone on Menopause March Madness who was not a reliable source or had something that they could definitely give you as a resource, a tip, a technique, a tool, or something. Very strategic with it, because I want the top in the industry, the best in the game, to say, look, you're not out here alone. And that app all by itself says that you're not out here alone, because Mighty Menopause, right? I can almost envision Mighty Mouse, right? That old cartoon. And someone standing behind you like, look, we're here for you, right?
Yeah. 100%. That's what we want. We want women to know, like, we're here to support you. Like, we got you. Like, let's go through this together.
Look, they're like, girlfriend, we got your back all the time. So I love it. So Jeanne, thank you so much. You all make sure that you all connect. Don't forget, MenoCon is 2022, September 16th through 17th. We want to see you there. You never know. Jeanne might be there with her products too, you all. Who knows? But in the meantime, make sure you all connect with her. And if you're a perimenopausal woman, you want to go through this transition with support. I'm telling you, pamphlets don't do it. Okay. I'm just saying.
Pamphlets don't do it.
Pamphlets don't do it. You need person, you need touch, you need community to help you go through this transition, because we don't want to hear of more women committing suicide or anything because they're feeling alone and no one understands. So even to the men out there, right, or your significant others and your partners and different ones, the more we all know and the more we all play in this game of menopause together, like Jeanne said earlier, we're all instruments. So we all play our part. that article and that story, we may be able to give another woman hope, another family hope, another male or partner hope to say, you know what, I recognize that in my partner, but I heard this conversation and I'm going to get her some help.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So Ben, this is for you too. Even to those who have teenage children, this is for you too. So that you know the signs and you know what to look for, and you know that there is help out there for your mom. Everyone needs to be in the know when it comes to menopause and women's wellness health. And so until the next time, you all, Jeanne, I want to say thank you again for your yes. I appreciate this amazing conversation. And yes, you all, we may be a little over our time, but when I tell you this was a very rich conversation, it's okay. Y'all tune in. Make sure you reach out and all those things. And so until the next time, I am Carlika Katrina Basnight-Menendez. Yes, all of that. And I want you all to remember, when you change your perspective, you change your life. And that's what we're doing with menopause, changing the face, changing the perspective so that you can say, look, they got me. And we're here to support and serve you. So talk to you all soon.